how many of you remember the Y2K problem? I guess it gives away your age, but because you had to be born in the last century to do so, so I guess it doesn't go for all of us, but I remember it. And the Y2K problem was the fear that computer errors would occur as we turned around from 31st December 1999 to 1st January 2000. I mean, could the whole infrastructure for computer-reliant services be brought down on New Year's Eve? I mean, just think about it, digital doomsday. Well, the answer was no. Hardly anything happened, despite the warnings and doomsday's predictions. So it was not the first time anyone said or meant something about the computer industry that in hindsight would turn out to be incorrect. In 1977, Ken Olsen, the founder of Digital Equipment Corporation, that later was going to be acquired by Compaq, he said, "There is no reason why anyone would want a computer in their home." Or the former chief technology officer at Microsoft, Nathan Myhrvold, who in 1997 said, "Apple is already," Apple is already dead. I mean, of all sciences, predictions are the most difficult. So history has a lot to teach us, and that is, of course, why it's so fascinating. 3 months into 2000, if you can remember that, we reached the peak of the dot-com boom. So what was then the status of the three of the big long-term winners from the internet? Meta, Google, and Amazon. Meta and social media in general did not even exist. Google, it did exist, but was just an 18-month-old startup. And what about Amazon? Amazon was listed, but it was just a simple retail business. The cloud business and extensive logistics that drive much of Amazon's current value was non-existent. And in addition, some of the stocks expected to be the winners of the dot-com boom turned out to be not such good investments. Cisco, the sort of picks and shovels of the internet, has not even been able to recapture the value it had at the peak of the boom. And this, of course, is in sharp contrast to Amazon, that has far exceeded that level. So why am I telling you this? It was supposed to be about AI, right? Well, if you have anything to learn from history, the AI landscape will change quite dramatically over the next 20 years. Many winners might look very different from their current forms. Some might not even exist at all. And some companies that today look like winners could end up much less successful than many thought. So, as investors, we should acknowledge this uncertainty and not overestimate our predictive abilities. So when making this presentation, I wanted to find out what ChatGPT could do for me. So I asked, what is the future of investment in AI? And the answer was pretty good. It said, the investment outlook for AI in 2024 is incredibly promising. So hard to disagree. But I'm not going to give you the rest of the ChatGPT answer. Instead, I will give you our thoughts and deliberations on the investment outlook for AI. And as Naveen said, I work at the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund. We are a global long-term investor with around $1.5 trillion under management. We own on average 1.5% of the world's listed companies. And also, as Naveen said, we have around $100 billion invested in AI-related business, although that's not a clearly defined term. So when we talk about AI-related investments, this covers our investments in companies that today are the main drivers of the AI development through their involvements in semiconductors, software industries, data services, and data centers. Out of these, our largest investments are in the semiconductor and software companies. And how do we see the investment outlook in these areas? I mean, the short answer is that investment outlook involves significant uncertainties. We are at the beginning of the AI journey. The only thing we know is that events will be unpredictable. But how do we best, as investors, maneuver in this uncertain landscape? We have defined and identified 3 principal sources of uncertainty that we believe will shape the AI investment outlook. As investor, we should follow these developments and development of these uncertainties and plan for various outcomes. So the first area of uncertainties is the ownership both of foundational models and software infrastructure. Will they be proprietary so that only the companies that develop them can adapt and modify them, or will they be open source? This question can be illustrated by OpenAI's ChatGPT versus Meta's Llama. As you know, ChatGPT is free for anyone to use, but the actual model is proprietary to OpenAI and cannot be modified to fit other software systems. Meta's Llama, on the other hand, is free for anyone to use, modify, and adapt. And similarly for software infrastructure, there is NVIDIA's CUDA that can only be used in connection with NVIDIA's GPU versus OpenAI's Triton that can fit other systems. And we believe that this issue of ownership of foundational models and software infrastructure is the area that will most impact on companies' long-term value creation. The second area of uncertainties is the competitive landscape of silicon infrastructure. I mean, today, NVIDIA is pretty much the only game in town. But will it continue to be a concentration on one single provider? Or will it be a competition among many? Will the long-term winner be NVIDIA's GPUs? Or will there be competing GPUs from other providers such as AMD or Intel? Or will it be NVIDIA's GPUs versus custom AI processor like Alphabet's TPU or Amazon's Trainium or Inferentia? The third area of uncertainties is the ownership of intellectual property and data. AI generates content with higher quality and speed of creation compared to average human performance. But to do so, the models rely on huge training data sets by mining publicly available content. And the use and output of data creates many issues around intellectual property and ownership that are not yet resolved. We're using copyrighted data to train generative AI models be covered by the fair use doctrine. Can you copyright the output of a generative AI model? Who would own it? What remedies can be introduced to allow generative AI to flourish while giving credit or compensation to the creators? As you know, these questions are currently being discussed and disputed. So with all these uncertainties, it is useful to assess these 6 scenarios. 1, if proprietary software infrastructure and foundational model dominate, the owners of these models are likely to attract an outside share of the value. Big tech will give way to big AI. And big AI may comprise the current big tech companies, or new may appear. But if open source software and models dominate, the value will be more evenly distributed across the economy among many users. If a single platform dominates, this will earn very high returns on investments, and NVIDIA's enormous valuation increase may then just continue. But if multiple silicon platforms compete evenly, value will be accrued more with the model owners or the end users. AMD or Intel may capture some of NVIDIA's value creation, or new companies may emerge. And if we get stringent copyright laws, this will limit the training data sets, which again will benefit content owners who can license and create walled gardens. But with a more relaxed copyright regime, companies with platforms relying on volume for user engagement, such as Meta and Google, may be the winners. So this is probably the best advice I can give, and at least it was much more concrete than what I got from ChatGPT. Follow closely the development of these following areas and adapt your portfolio to what you believe are the most likely outcomes. The adoption and success of open source software and models, the extent to which cloud players will invest in silicon to compete with NVIDIA, the extent to which specialist processors of AI applications can compete with more general-purpose GPUs, and the development of the various generative AI regulatory schemes under consideration across the world to determine how the copyright regime will develop. And these, at least, are the developments we watch. And as of today, this is how we approach investments in AI. We take a portfolio approach. We invest in companies that can win in multiple scenarios. We invest in multiple companies that can win in discrete scenarios. And we have reduced exposure to companies with highly vulnerable business models. So I've now looked at some of the investment opportunities in companies that will be deeply involved in the development of AI. In addition, AI can be a powerful tool to enhance business models, increase efficiencies, and reduce costs across a variety of industries. And as an investor in more than 9,000 companies, we urge these companies to utilize the great potential of AI. We will probably first and foremost see this in companies that depend on many manual routine processes based on knowledge or data-intensive work. I mean, chatbots can be used for customer services. AI can draft legal and technical documents. And I mean, what a relief for paralegals and junior lawyers who no longer will have to review thousands of pages of legal precedents. Gosh, I wish we had AI at my time as a junior lawyer. Software engineer may be replaced by AI coding. HR processes, such as payroll, may be totally automated. I mean, IBM reported that they have reduced the HR admin costs by 90% due to AI. And even creative industries, such as advertising agencies and stand-up comedians, may benefit from a bit of AI prompts. And the same applies to us as a fund. We have an ambition to have 10% efficiency gain within the next year by using AI. But let me hasten to say, we don't think AI can replace investment professionals, but it can make us trade more efficiently, it can automate many processes, and it can facilitate our risk reporting and monitoring. Of course, some companies gain, maybe other companies lost. Companies predominantly, with revenues predominantly generated by services that can be substituted by AI, may find their business models challenged. That could include, amongst many, payroll processing companies, call centers, IT consultants, ride-hailing companies, and companies providing project management services. Watch out for that, at least we do. But AI will have much more impact on people and society than companies' revenues and costs. As we know, AI comes with severe and uncharted risks. AI now develops at a pace where it's challenging to predict and manage its impact. Beyond regulatory, operational, and reputational risks to companies, AI can impact society at large and even human rights. I mean, issues such as privacy, security, personal freedom, and non-discrimination are at stake. AI will also increase the risk of large-scale misinformation, deception, or manipulation. So as a long-term, diversified financial investor, we believe that our investments will benefit from the development of comprehensive and cohesive regulation of AI. We believe this will contribute to safe innovation, market predictability, and create a basis for long-term value creation. But while AI regulation is developing, companies should view responsible development and use of AI as a core element of responsible business conduct. Companies' own responsible use of AI should be a necessary complement to the emerging regulatory landscape. So we have developed and published clear views of what we believe are key elements of responsible AI. This includes 3 areas. The first is board accountability. We believe boards should ensure that a company balance competitive use of AI against potential risks, including risks to people and wider society. This will require board expertise. Board also play an important role in overseeing that AI policies and guidance are implemented across the business. The second is transparency and explainability. Companies should be able to explain how their AI systems have been designed, trained, and tested. And stakeholders should be able to assess the potential impacts of AI and understand its accuracy, efficiency, and reliability. Companies should also provide information to relevant and trusted third parties, such as auditors or regulators, to allow them to verify the AI system and assess its risks. And companies should inform people of how AI is used in outcomes that affect them and provide appropriate access to remedy. And we're very, very far from this today. The third area is robust risk management. Companies should identify, assess, and mitigate risk to business, people, and society. Risk measures should include evaluation of systems limitations and the potential consequence of system failure. and AI systems that can pose severe risks to societal and human rights should be subject to additional controls. So I mentioned earlier the developments to watch on the investment side. Let me also part you with some developments to watch when it comes to responsible use of AI. The regulatory landscape is evolving quickly, so keep abreast of developments of international standards and regulation. Also, best practices are evolving where we do not yet have regulations. Be informed of the latest developments. And finally, as AI develops, be updated on the many risks involved, in particular risks related to privacy, security, misinformation, deception, and manipulations. One famous quote made about computers was by the former president of IBM. In 1943, he reportedly stated, "I think there is a world market for maybe 5 computers." But when he said this, computers were pretty much as large as a house, and nothing close to what we have today. So, of course, Watson, that was his name, he had no idea that we were at the very dawn of the computer industry at that time. And I can't blame him. It is hard to prepare for something you cannot even imagine. But we have to try. That is how we can move forward. Thank you.